Good evening. I'm sorry we're running a little behind tonight, but it is past 6:30, so I'd like to call the October 11th, 2016 meeting of the Milledgeville City Council to order. I'll start by asking the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mr. Reynolds?
Here.
Ms. Shinholster?
Here.
Mr. Mullins?
Here.
Ms. Walden?
Here.
Mr. Chambers?
Here.
Dr. Lee?
Here.
We have a quorum. I'd like to ask everyone to stand with me as we say the pledge and the prayer. Bow your heads, please. Dear Lord, may your goodness and love be present among us this evening. Bless our gathering with unity, hope, and vision, building us a deep respect for one another. Lord, we ask you to put your healing hands on the families and friends of those affected by Hurricane Matthew. Give us hope in these uncertain times. We ask these things in God's glorious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. We have no awards and presentations tonight, so you've all received copies of the minutes from the September 27, 16 regular council meeting. Are there any corrections? Do I hear a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Mullins?
Aye.
Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Dr. Lee?
Aye.
Minutes pass. Don't have any old business on the agenda tonight, so we'll move directly into the new business. First item to consider tonight is a request to withdraw ordinance 01608-010 without prejudice. Do I hear a motion on this request?
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the roll.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Mullins?
Aye.
Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Dr. Lee?
Aye.
The second item to consider tonight is a request to withdraw ordinance 01608-011 without prejudice. Do I hear a motion on the request?
Move we approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Mullins?
Aye.
Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Dr. Lee?
Aye.
Motion carries. We do have a public hearing to consider tonight. The procedure for this hearing will be as follows. Once it's been determined that the hearing has been properly advertised, the clerk will read the proposed amendment. We will then hear from the advisory decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Council will first hear from the applicant and any persons who would like to speak in favor of the amendment. Council will then hear from any person who would like to speak in opposition to the amendment. We will then give the applicant an opportunity for rebuttal. Rebuttal must be limited to points or issues raised by opposition. The purpose of a public hearing is to gather public comment on a proposed amendment. Mayor and council encourages all in attendance to offer comments and ask questions. However, a successful public hearing requires that some simple ground rules be followed. These ground rules will ensure that all in attendance are treated in a respectful and courteous manner, and that all those who desire to speak will have the opportunity to be heard. No one may speak from the floor unless recognized by a mayor for that purpose. Upon recognition, the person must identify himself or herself clearly by stating his or her full name and address. Anyone choosing to speak must address his or her remarks to the mayor and council and not to other members in the audience. Any debate between those for and those against this proposal must be strictly avoided. Mayor and council is here to listen to the public's comments and to answer questions regarding the subject of the hearing. We want your advice and assistance in coming to the proper conclusion on the issue involved. If you are in favor, simply tell us and give us your reasons why, and likewise if you're opposed. This public hearing is to consider ordinance 01608-012 to amend the Land Development Code to allow special use of property located at 211 South Wilkinson Street. Has this public hearing been properly posted and advertised?
Yes, sir, it has been.
I'll recognize the zoning administrator, Ms. Mervyn Graham, to provide a report to include the advisory decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, it was unanimous to approve. It is for special use for fraternity or sorority. And at the main house, they will be having 15 residents with 4, and the smaller home for a total of 19 residents. They will have all the parking, but all this is currently under construction. It's not complete. But we will make sure that they have parking to suffice for all 19 residents total. And, it was unanimous vote.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of the amendment? Ms. Wright, I'm sorry.
My name is Richard Sims. I reside locally in the Historic District at 330 West Green Street in Milledgeville, in an 1820s era antebellum stunning home. And I have a slide presentation that I wish to go through very quickly, recognizing times of the essence. And this is my personal residence. I've worked on it for 8 years since my purchase in 2008. Major construction, seemingly every year, foundation work, exterior painting, all new roof replacement, a lot of foundation work. It's been wonderful. I love this home. I love being part of the community. I worked as a registered professional in the state of Georgia as an engineering consultant for more than 2 decades in the assessment, design, and build of commercial properties, specifically with the abatement and remediation of hazardous waste. So doing a residential home is just a lot of fun. Next, please. I am a local homeowner. I've preserved a couple of houses. I'm in the process, and I have the goal of putting $10 million cash into our community specifically to save the most neglected historic homes downtown adjacent to the college. And when I see problems, I want to offer solutions and save these historic buildings. Next, please. I have been buying historic homes that are falling apart. These are large, grand homes adjacent to campus where the single families can't afford the renovation and upkeep. And I can restore them to the original beauty with top safety standards. And with group residents, the city gets parking, gets inspections annually, the fire department has access, code enforcement is present, and there's strict technical oversight that's not present in the rental housing community of our city. The legal group use helps the city. The historic downtown is mostly student rental properties. Many are grandfathered apartments or illegal group use. This is led, as presented in public hearings, led to parking and safety issues. And without the special use permit, the city does not have the ability to expect occupancy or to regulate parking except under the group residence permit. So these large homes need group use to pay for the extensive repair and maintenance. And actually, it costs more to repair one of these homes than to buy it. And so my work is on display at the Zeta Sorority House and the construction that I've been doing at 211 South Wilkinson Street. So I'm doing this the right way. Months of hearings and planning expenses, architects, licensed builders, general contractors. This is the Zeta House restoration that I finished this summer. I replaced the siding, replaced the roofing, waterproofed the foundation. You can see here primed and replaced decks with Brazilian ironwood on the 2 porches. Next. You can see here it's under construction. I've got exterior paint there. I put cedar shake shingles on the 3-story turret. It's a lot of fun. You see the new bathrooms here, remodeled bathrooms, all historic details, ceramic tile, floor to ceiling showers, refinished hardwood floors, repaired plaster, new interior and exterior paint, ceiling fans, fire safety. There it is. And this is ready for the next century. And the nice thing, let's go back one slide if we can. The nice thing about the Zeta Sorority House, when I bought it last fall, the previous owner had already done the work for the special use permit. So the fire department's in there annually, code enforcement is in there annually on safety inspections, and the parking is regulated, and the number of students residing in that house is regulated, and the city has full access to it. And I'm proud and to have saved this structure. And let's go to the next slide. This is 211 South Wilkinson Street that we call the Tudor Mansion. For many decades, this had been subdivided into 12 individual apartments. You can see the 12 water meters and 12 electric meters that were present on this property. Next slide, please. I've come in with skilled licensed professionals, local contractors. They're well paid. I've used a licensed Georgia architect. We took this mansion back to a single-family home status from being 12 apartments, which meant all new structural framing. You can see this process. We're replacing the roofing. Here you can see new structural framing, new stairs, all new interior plumbing, all new electrical wiring. This is a commercial-grade kitchen going in here. Sprinkler system, $10,000 fire alarm system, all new sheetrock, all new historic windows. We went back with wooden windows and multi-pane. You can see ceramic tile bathrooms. You can do the next. Let's pause at this one. This is the kitchen under renovation. You see ceramic tile going into the floors. I wanted to point out the spray foam insulation that we put on the entire exterior envelope of the house. I could be driving a new BMW for the cost of that insulation, but and that's life when you're doing renovating an old structure. But the nice thing about the foam insulation is that it's weatherproof, and I was able to have 50% of the size of the zoned HVAC for this home that I would have had to use if I had not put in spray foam. So the spray foam will give my residents a really low utility bill and great comfort, and then I'll be able to collect money that would have gone to Georgia Power as actual rent. So, and the next slide, new HVAC system. Not only did I put in a high efficiency system, it's one with a variable speed fan, so the fan always runs in the background in the low grade, and it gives a very even temperature, and it's very energy efficient. It's actually 15 SEER, which is 2 steps above the minimum requirement by the EPA. All new ductwork, all new electric wiring, hot water heaters, tankless on each floor, laundry facilities on each floor, bedrooms on each floor. And so this is what we call the Tudor mansion. I've gone well beyond the code requirements, and my goals are the safety of our tenants, energy efficiency, and durability of the construction. And this will easily accommodate 19 residents with shared kitchens, large bathrooms, common spaces, and off-street parking. And I'm proposing 25 parking places as shown here, and that gives 6 visitor spaces. This lot is so huge. If we went to the next one, not to confuse the issue, but I could put 50 parking spaces there and still have green space on the lot. And that's one of the attractions of this being right next to downtown and next to the campus. Okay. And just showing the use of the current properties, the entire block that this sits on is a rental property. Every single structure is either commercial use or multifamily residential rental for the most part, and then businesses across the street on Wilkinson Street. So I've taken what was a 12 apartment group home surrounded by student apartments and businesses. I'm adding off-street parking. I've reduced the fire risk and dramatically raised property values. So this is all fun. And I'm so delighted to be able to present to City Council that I have unanimous approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission for this special use permit.
Thank you, sir. Any others who would like to speak in favor of the amendment? That's right. If you wouldn't mind.
Amy Wright, 260 Sparta Highway. Well, last time I was here, I told you of my personal connection with this house. And it has been with great interest that I have watched the renovation. Last week, I stopped at the traffic light at the corner of Wilkinson and Green Street. I was thinking about what all I had to get done, and I just glanced to my left, and I looked at the house, and I thought, oh, doesn't that look great? And then it hit me. That's my grandfather's house. It has been resurrected. If you drove down that street a year ago, you would not believe the renovation that has taken place. It truly is a resurrection. And what an attractive house it is now for tourists coming into our town, for visitors to our city, instead of seeing shingles coming down off the roof and window screens torn out. It looks great. I've had 3 tours of the house, 1 with Richard and 2 with his contractors. And as proud as Richard was, and the hour tour he gave me, the contractors were even more enthusiastic. The electricians wanted to tell me what the plumbers had done, and the painters wanted to tell me what the paneling men had done. They are so proud of this house. I'm proud of the fact that the house is now safe for the residents, that it has a first-class fire safety sprinkler system, alarms, a totally updated electrical system. And with Richard as a local owner and investor in the project, he's going to be very wary of how the property is handled. He will be managing it. He will be managing his investment. So I feel really confident that the house is going to continue to be a major improvement in the block and a really nice addition to the city of Milledgeville. But at one time, I was not sure that it was even going to be salvageable. So I want to thank Richard for doing this, and I'd like to see some of our other houses that are truly about to fall in get this fine a renovation and put to good use. Thank you.
so much. Is there anyone else present that'd like to speak in favor of this amendment? Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Is there anyone on council who'd like to ask questions or make statements?
Impressive from the road. I haven't gotten a tour yet, but I haven't stopped by either, so. But it is impressive from what I've been able to see.
Mr. Sims, how many houses do you own downtown that have group residences that have, multiple residents?
This is my second structure with the special use permits.
And as far as management, what special effort are you taking to make sure that we don't have excessive trash, excessive noise, and things of this nature?
I have local employees that live in the historic district or apartment buildings.
Uh-huh.
I manage in Atlanta as well as in Central Georgia, and so we're there daily for grounds maintenance.
Right.
And then we also, for the Zeta Sorority House, we do monthly interior inspections with the Zeta Housing Corporation adult manager.
Mhm.
And we go through, check everything, fire alarms, change batteries, change light bulbs, that type of thing, just as preventative maintenance, as well as to enforce compliance with university rules for housing. Because when you have a special use permit and have an official organization present in the house, then we not only do we enjoy the city's oversight of the student behavior, you've got a national organization that oversees the student behavior and the college, so.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just one quick question. Do you already have a fraternity or sorority that's prepared to,
I'm talking to groups that
it may be something you can't mention, I don't know, but,
I also bought 200 South Liberty Street, which was infamous for having housed the KA fraternity. And I own that house. And I had to honor the Georgia landlord law on the tenant that was written by the gentleman that sold me the residence, Rusty Kidd. But I tell you, at the end of the lease, given the history of the home, the house did not have a special use permit, and the deed of freedom house has a special use permit. So I actually removed the students. I gave them a lease termination letter. I met with the college, I met with the faculty advisors, I met with the students, and I removed them. Their furniture's gone, the students are gone, their photos are gone, the canon's gone from the front yard.
okay. I know that sometimes you have to
Make a statement.
kind of work with a national organization whenever you do that, so I was just curious.
Not having a national organization involved is a problem, as well as other issues.
Right. Okay.
Anyone else? Well, this concludes the presentation of evidence. I'd entertain a motion on the ordinance.
I move that we accept the findings of the P and Z Board and approve the request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Mullins?
Aye.
Ms. Walden?
No.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you so much. Moving on, I'll ask the clerk if he would read Resolution R 1610032 by caption.
To designate Deep Roots as a community festival sponsored by Main Street Downtown Development Authority. To permit public consumption of alcoholic beverages in open containers while upon public streets or recreation areas. To establish a control zone within the festival. To reaffirm the rules designated by the Community Festival Ordinance.
Thank you. So you've heard the resolution. Is there any motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Now, moving on, I'll ask the clerk if he would read Resolution 1610033 by caption.
To authorize an intergovernmental agreement with the Board of Trustees of Georgia Military College whereby Georgia Military College would make city street and walkway improvements by constructing a pedestrian walkway from the Oconee River Greenway to a future events parking lot in return for a permanent easement along the East Washington Street water tower abutting the Georgia Military College Military Science Building.
You've heard the resolution. Is there a motion to adopt?
I make a motion that we adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'll ask the clerk if he would read Resolution R 1610034 by caption.
To authorize Mayor Gary L. Thor to sign Georgia Municipal Association's Georgia Municipal Employee Benefit System Life and Health Program Employee Declaration and application for employee health benefits.
Having heard the resolution, do I hear a motion to adopt?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
We do have one alcohol license application to consider tonight. I'll ask the clerk if he would present the application by caption.
This is for Robert Frazier on behalf of Chastain Concessions LLC for an event, which is the Deep Roots Festival at address 105 Hancock Street, and this is for beer and wine, and it is for special events for October 22nd, 2016.
You've heard the application. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Chambers,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
So much. That motion carries. Last item on our agenda tonight is a closed session to discuss the pending litigation. Chair will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Make a motion, we go into closed session.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers,
Aye.
Dr. Lee.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will be moving into closed session and will reconvene shortly. Thank you for your patience. I'd like to call the October 11th, 2016 meeting of the Milledgeville City Council back into order and ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Mr. Reynolds,
Here.
Ms. Shinholster,
Here.
Mr. Mullins,
Here.
Ms. Walden,
Here.
Mr. Chambers,
Here.
Dr. Lee.
Here.
We do have a quorum. Council did go into closed session to discuss a pending litigation, and no decision were made. Do I have any comments from council? I'd just like to welcome Ms. Shinholster back after extended injury with a
Thank you.
repair on the shoulder. I think we're gonna take a couple of weeks off now.
All up to you.
Glad to be back.
Glad to have you, no doubt. There being no further business to discuss, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second, here no objection.
She said second, third, and fourth.
There you go. Here no objection, we stand adjourned.